So hello everyone. Good morning / afternoon / evening / nighttime to you all. This time change has me totally confused. But here in Ireland, in Galway, it is 4 o'clock. So welcome to you all, wherever you may be. My name is Mairead, and I will be leading our webinar today. I've been teaching for nearly 20 years now, and I've been all over the place. I've had a really exciting career as a TEFL teacher, as I'm sure you are all going to have as well. So everyone, today's session is all about CVs and cover letters. All right, so it's time for you all to start the exciting process of looking for work. This is when all of the hard work of, going through your TEFL course pays off. Okay, looking for work, it makes it all seem really real. So today we're going to go through how to write that perfect CV and cover letter. All right, everyone, let's go. So, as I said, in today's webinar, we're going to cover the following topics: the importance of a good CV, the importance of a good cover letter, tips for a good CV, and tips for a good cover letter. They tend to go hand in hand, right? Okay, let's start then with a brief overview of why a good CV is important. So I know you all know that it's important to have an effective CV, okay? But I always think that a CV is even more important in TEFL because, we often can't attend in-person interviews, or, we often can't just pop along to the school and meet the recruitment team in person. Okay, a lot of recruitment is done from a distance. So really our CVs carry a lot of weight. As you can imagine, language schools receive lots of CVs. Okay, they receive lots of applications. So you need to have a strong CV in order to stand out. Okay, your CV and also your cover letter, will be the deciding factor. Will the school move forward with you or not? Okay. So yeah, always bear that in mind because of the fact that, you're often applying from a long distance. Your CV needs to do a lot of work for you. When it comes to tips for a good CV, I guess, the same general tips would apply to crafting a CV for any job, really. Of course, we want our CV to be accurate. This is so important in the world of TEFL, right? Because we're teaching English, so we need to make sure that our English is impeccable in our CV. While errors are never a good thing to have in your CV, it's pretty disastrous when it comes to TEFL. Okay. Also, when it comes to crafting your CV for job applications, try to include information that is relevant to the job. Okay. It's probably not necessary to include every job you had since you were 16. Okay. We just want to pick out the jobs, that have a lot of transferable skills to teaching. Okay. I know that gaps in CVs are typically frowned upon by recruiters, but in the world of TEFL, gaps in CVs aren't such an issue, okay? Because as we said, we typically only tend to include jobs or information that is relevant to the post, okay? So yeah, having gaps in your CV is not as off-putting in the world of TEFL as it may be in other sectors. I would also say too that when you're crafting your CV, try to keep it simple. All right. Try to avoid using, overly descriptive, over flowery language. Okay. Recruiters don't tend to appreciate that so much. So try to keep things concise, keep things simple, easy to read. Okay. We imagine that any recruitment team working for a language school will have a really excellent level of English. If they are not native speakers, at least they will have a very high level. I've seen a couple of instances where this wasn't the case. Okay. So they can definitely benefit by receiving your CV written in quite a simple, concise way. Okay. Now, when it comes to CVs for various different countries, there are different requirements for each country. Some countries really want you to include a photo with your CV, whereas other countries absolutely do not. Okay. If you were applying to Ireland or the UK, for example, a photograph would not be necessary. However, if you were applying for maybe Southern European countries or the Middle East, it would be really typical that they ask for a photo. So, there will be different rules depending on different companies. Normally in the job advertisement, they will specify if they want a photo or not. If you're really not sure whether to include one or not, there's no harm contacting the school in advance and asking them, like, do you want me to send a photo or not? Okay. But as I said, normally in the job ad, it will specify whether they want to see one or not. The same goes for personal information. Okay, some countries will expect you to include information that other countries may not. Okay, you may be asked questions, what gender are you? Okay, or you may not. Okay, again, it will typically specify in the job ad exactly what information they want. But if you're unsure, pop an email along before you start crafting your CV and just ask them what information they would like to see included in your CV. Okay. Information I have had to include in the past for various different countries are obviously my name. That tends to be pretty standard. Date of birth, nationality, gender, home address, telephone number, email address. Okay. Some countries may not require this information, but others may. Okay. So try not to get too worried about, possible discriminatory questions. I find that schools generally, they genuinely aren't trying to be discriminatory. It's just standard in some countries to ask for information that other countries might not ask for. Okay, there's a whole range. There's a whole range out there when it comes to information to include. I would find, though, that name, date of birth, nationality, and email or phone number are, super typical. I also notice a trend now where schools are asking for a link to your, if you have any social media like LinkedIn, okay, not Facebook or Instagram, okay, just for LinkedIn or any other professional network that you are part of. So I think it's a really nice idea. If you do have a LinkedIn profile, pop it in as well in the contact, pop in the link. Okay. Good. So as we said before, it's really important that your CV reads well, okay, and that the language is accurate and concise. Typically in our CV, we would lay it out as follows. We would start with our photograph if required and personal details as required. Okay. Next, we would give a section to our education and TEFL qualification. I know that when I'm doing my CV, I kind of separate my TEFL qualification and my other education, just to make it really stand out, that I do have numerous TEFL qualifications. So that could be a nice tip for you all. Put your TEFL qualification first with all of the details of the course, what it involved, how long it was, okay, your grade, if you wish to put it, and then under that, put all of your other qualifications, okay, any certificates, diplomas, degrees, etc. Okay, it's always worth highlighting that you do have a TEFL qualification. So after your education, we would move to our skills. Okay, so here is where you can put, any relevant work experience that you've had. Again, remember we said there's no need to include everything, just stick to the relevant jobs that you've had. And, make sure you outline how these jobs will help you as a teacher. Okay, a way to do this is by outlining the skills that you learned or you developed in this job. Okay, so you're showing the recruiter that even though you may not have worked in the world of TEFL before, you do have lots of transferable skills. Okay, obviously, if you have worked as a teacher before, awesome. You will put that in your work experience, your skills section. However, if you haven't, really hammer home those transferable skills. Really valuable skills that recruiters in TEFL look for are the following. Active listening skills. So any job that involved dealing with the public, okay? This shows that you're used to listening to the public. Yeah, you're used to dealing with people one-on-one, hearing their concerns, being able to respond to those concerns, etc. Communication skills. Okay, pretty much the same, that you're used to working with people. If you've done any jobs that involve giving presentations, that's amazing. Okay, that's very, very transferable to teaching. If you've had a job dealing with people from all over the world, from different nationalities, that is also really, really valuable. I would make sure to mention that. You can also highlight any computer skills that you have, or jobs in which you have used your computer skills. This is because a lot of classrooms are going high tech now. It's all interactive whiteboards and audio-visual media. So recruiters, they will feel reassured to know that you have these skills to deal with technology. Again, if you don't, there's no need to stress. You will learn if required. But if you already have the skills, point them out. Customer service skills. Again, linked to what we said before, that you're used to dealing with the public, either with groups or on a one-to-one basis. Interpersonal skills. Again, comes back to the idea of being able to communicate well in a work environment. Anything you can do to show that you have leadership skills is also very, very valuable. Okay, because, as teachers, we lead. Okay, we lead our class. We direct them to different activities. We take charge. So you should definitely highlight any jobs in which you had leadership skills. The same goes for management skills or problem-solving skills. Okay, believe me, you will need problem-solving skills when you start teaching. Because as prepared as we are, there will always be something that pops up that requires us to just, think on the spot, act decisively. Okay, so again, if you've done a job that helped you develop these problem-solving skills, by all means highlight it. Okay, so you see, even if you haven't worked as a teacher before, I'm sure whatever jobs you have had in the past, there will be some, if not lots, of transferable skills. And this is what we want to point out in our CV. Okay, and as I said, if you have worked as a teacher before, awesome. Just stick to all of your teaching experience and be sure to describe what type of teaching it was, what age groups you taught, what levels. Was it general English? Was it business English? Yeah, really let the school know what your work experience is. Okay, so I often think that's probably the most challenging section when you're outlining your work experience. But, don't panic, just think transferable skills and paint the picture of yourself as possessing all of these wonderful qualities that we need to be a successful teacher. Okay. Something else we can include, actually we should include in our CV, include language skills. So if you already speak another language to a very high level, put that on your CV. That is really, really relevant. Maybe you speak a couple of different languages. So you could say, for example, I speak French to an advanced level, Spanish to intermediate level, Japanese to elementary level. Okay, make sure to include what your level is in that language. And if you have done any qualifications or any exams in that other language, by all means, put it down. Okay. Again, if you don't speak any other languages, that is absolutely fine. But if you do, mention it. Okay, recruiters will probably assume that because you have learned other languages, you are somewhat familiar with the process of learning and will therefore be able to teach someone to learn another language. Okay, well, work experience we've mentioned. It could also be relevant to mention hobbies and interests. Okay, if those hobbies and interests are relevant to teaching somehow. Okay, if they're not, maybe it's not necessary. But for example, if you are an instructor of some kind, if you're maybe a football coach in your spare time, or maybe you're involved with Girl Guides or something, that would be really relevant to mention because it shows that you're familiar with teaching, with leading, okay, with working with kids or young people. All right. All of that would be valuable to a recruiter. Another thing that's worth mentioning could be any foreign travel you've done. So we don't mean, listing every holiday you've ever been on, but rather if you have lived abroad before for a significant period of time. The recruiter will like to know that because they'll know that you're not going to freak out with homesickness, or you're not going to get overwhelmed and leave, after the first week. So if you do have any significant foreign travel or living abroad experience, why not mention it? Okay, it will give your recruiter a good impression as to your realistic expectations of life abroad. If you are applying, for example, for a job in Thailand and you have visited Thailand lots of times, absolutely mention it. Okay. It'll show the recruiter that you are at a low risk of suffering from culture shock. Okay. So again, it's all about picking out relevant information from your life and, putting your recruiter's mind at ease. If you feel that you don't have any relevant skills or travel or languages, that's fine too. Okay, the rest of your CV will do the talking for you. All right, excellent. So hopefully then you are a little more informed as to what a good CV consists of. You can absolutely ask me some questions afterwards if you want, if you have any further doubts about your CV. Or if you are not sure what transferable skills you have. Later on you can pop your previous jobs in the comment box and I will be more than happy to dig out some transferable skills for you. But for the moment, let's leave CVs behind and let's move on to cover letters. Now, everyone, I don't know about you, but I haven't noticed in other sectors a huge demand for cover letters. Okay. However, in the world of TEFL, cover letters are really important, like really important. I'm not sure that I've seen a job ad that hasn't requested a cover letter. A lot of times we'll end up doing cover emails instead of cover letters, and that's absolutely fine too. You know, when you're emailing the school, you will have a cover email and attach your CV to it, right? So all of what we're about to see applies to cover emails as well as cover letters. Okay, so there are a couple of reasons why good cover letters are really important in the world of TEFL. A cover letter will showcase your skills and your talents. Okay, you can include more information than perhaps in your CV. Yeah. Your cover letter also presents a very clear, cogent argument. Okay, why should the school hire you? Okay, the cover letter is your chance to just go in with a bang and tell them, this is who I am and this is why you need to hire me. Okay, so let's look at some of the elements that go into a good cover letter. I would say, everyone, that when you're writing your cover letter, keep it formal. Okay, we don't want to err on the side of casual here. As you know, lots of different countries have lots of rules about, you know, showing respect, showing formality, you know, writing in the correct register. So if you keep it relatively formal, you can't go wrong. Okay, much better err on the side of formal than informal. Okay, when you're writing your cover letter, keep it accurate. Okay, you know, we don't want to go mentioning too much stuff that is not in your CV. You know, you want everything you say in your cover letter to be backed up in some way by your CV. Okay, you can absolutely expand on points in your CV, but, you know, just keep it accurate. Keep them, what's the word I'm looking for? Keep them consistent. Okay, your cover letter and your CV. Okay, also, you know, follow the typical business letter format. Okay, maybe this is more difficult if you're doing it in email form. You know, if you're doing it in email form, there is no need to do the, you know, your address, business address, etc. But if you're writing it as a letter, also attached to an email, you know, try to follow business letter format as much as you can. Okay. More tips might be to use your greetings and salutations correctly. Okay. I'm sure you're all aware of the difference between yours sincerely, yours faithfully. If you do not know the name of the person you're writing to, okay, you will start with dear sir or madam or dear recruitment officer, and you will end with yours faithfully. However, if you do know the name of the person you're writing to, perhaps it gave the name of the person in the job ad, you will say, for example, dear Mr. Smith, and end with yours sincerely. A tip I always use to remember which one to use is just think of the letter S. Okay, if you know the person's surname, finish with sincerely. Okay, so that's like my little mnemonic for remembering. Surname sincerely, SS. Okay, maybe it will help some of you, or maybe you don't need as much help with these things as I do. So I would say with a cover letter also, you know, don't just give a summary of your CV. Okay, you know, use the cover letter to show the recruiter who you are as a person. Okay. You know, it's your chance to give them a snapshot of you and why you would be a great addition to their team. Okay, nice. So when you're writing a cover letter or a cover email, I think it's a really good idea to give it a title. Okay, so something like application for the position of EFL teacher in X language school. Okay, so that whoever reads your cover letter or cover email can see immediately, okay, what are you applying for? Some schools might have lots of advertisements for different vacancies within their school. So, it's really useful for the person reading your cover letter or email to know exactly what you're applying for straight off the bat. Okay, so try to give your cover letter a title. I like to write the title in bold and underline it, just so there's no doubt as to what's going on here. Okay, then your cover letter can be a couple of paragraphs long, not necessarily super long paragraphs, but we can keep it to 3 or 4 paragraphs. Typically in the first paragraph, you will say why you are writing this cover letter. I'm writing to apply for X position, which I saw advertised in whatever place. Okay, it's always good to tell them how you found them. Okay, if you're just applying on spec, you can say something like, oh, while I was researching teaching jobs, I found the website of your school. Okay, let them know how you heard of them. If maybe a friend has worked for them in the past and has passed on their information, tell them that. I was given your details by X who worked for you whenever. All right. I think that's a really nice way to start. Let the school know how you found them. Okay. You can introduce yourself, tell them your name, where you're from. It might also be relevant to tell them, I am currently working as an EFL teacher, or I'm excited to look for my first job as a newly qualified EFL teacher. Okay, so, from the beginning, they have an idea of your experience level. Okay, once the introductions are out of the way, then in the second paragraph, I would typically write about why you are a good addition to their team, okay, or why you would be a good addition to their team. Okay, why should they hire you? All right, so this is your chance to tell them as if you were talking to them face to face. Okay, why they need you. Do you have really good interpersonal skills? Have you worked with kids before and enjoyed it? Have you tutored adults before, etc.? Okay, why do they need you on their team? Okay, then in the third paragraph, I would typically go through my qualifications and say, why they are relevant to the post. You'll probably see that a lot of jobs will specify that they need degree holders. Again, this isn't anything to do with snobbery about education, but it could be everything to do with visa purposes. When you're working abroad, chances are you will need a work visa. And, some countries will need you to have a degree in order to apply for that visa or to be granted that visa. So, that could be super relevant to point out in your third paragraph regarding qualifications. You could also mention your TEFL qualification, when you finished it, what you loved about it, and why you are excited to start teaching. Okay. So, just focus on your relevant qualifications in our third paragraph. Then we would normally conclude our cover letter. So this is where you tell them again, just reiterate why you really want to work for that school. Okay, what you bring to the table, and express excitement. I really hope to hear from you soon. regarding this exciting job opportunity. Okay, express enthusiasm. Let them know that you really want to proceed with recruitment and that you are ready and waiting to hear from them. Okay. And then, of course, yours faithfully, yours sincerely, or if you're not sure, best regards, and your name. Okay. So you can see then with the cover letter, you're showing them your personality. You're showing them that you're well suited to the job. You're showing them that you're putting yourself out there. You're showing them that you're excited. Okay, stamp your personality on your cover letter. All right. So yeah, that is how you should go about it. I would say even if the job doesn't request one, like even if the job ad doesn't request a cover letter, put one in anyway. Okay, you have nothing to lose. So if you have any questions about cover letters, you could absolutely ask me in the Q&A section, which will be coming up very soon. Okay, so now that we've looked at CVs and cover letters, let's just look at a few more don'ts that we may have missed. Okay, so please avoid the temptation of CCing 10 schools with the same CV and cover letter. Okay, please don't do that. Schools can spot that a mile away. Okay, if you are really short on time and you think that the same cover letter and CV will suit 2 schools, at least BCC them. Okay, blind CC them, so that they can't see that you have emailed anybody else with the same information. Okay. Really though, just don't submit or try not to submit generic cover letters. Okay. Try to research the school that has advertised the post and, just try to find something that you can put in your cover letter to show them that you have researched them. We said to write a paragraph saying why you want to work there. Tell them, I see that you have an extensive range of exam preparation classes, and that's something that I'm really interested in. Okay, so with that one line, okay, the school will know that you have looked into them and you know what to expect, and that will make you stand out from all of the other generic cover letter senders. Finally, I would say don't go over 1 page, or try really hard not to go substantially over 1 page. It goes back to what we said beforehand, keeping your CV relevant. Any of the information you include, it needs to be just the relevant stuff. Okay, so I know it's hard, but try to keep it to 1 page. The same goes for your cover letter. Of course, there should be no reason to go over 1 page for your cover letter. All right, great. They would probably be my top 3 don'ts. Yeah. If you can think of any others, or if you have any questions about things not to do, absolutely pop it in the chat box and we will talk about it. Okay. So I think that is pretty much it for the moment from me. Now I'm going to turn things over to you all. If you have any questions at all regarding CVs and cover letters, please put them in the chat box and we will work through them. So I'll give you a moment to come up with your questions, and then we will go through everything and see. Okay, so I can see then that we have some questions already in. Let's take a look. So, hi, C. Tanner. Thank you for your question. Should we format anything differently depending on the target country we want to work in? Great question, C. I would say probably not. I find in the world of TEFL, like there isn't such a thing as like a standard CV layout, I guess because they're aware that people from all over the world are applying. Recruiters don't tend to be so stringent on a specific layout. So I would say to, follow the potential layout that we saw today. Yeah, with your photo, if necessary, personal details, education, TEFL qualification, work experience, and skills. If you can present all of that, I don't think it matters too much about the formatting. Yeah, as long as it's very clear, easy to read, and has like a logical flow. Okay. I guess the most important thing is just to read the job application really carefully and make sure that you're including all of the information that they ask for. Okay, so nice question. Thank you. All right. So we have a question from Magdalena. Hi, Magdalena. Hope you're keeping well today. So you ask, any additional tips for people who wish to apply for online teaching platforms? Well, Magdalena, not really. It should be pretty much, the same procedure. You're including the same details. I guess, if you do have any online working experience, like if you've maybe worked from home before, or if you've taught online before, no matter what the subject, or even if you've been an online student before learning and studying online, that could definitely be worth mentioning in your cover letter. Yeah, just to let them know that you have experience dealing with learning online or teaching online, if applicable. And of course, in your work experience section of your CV, you can mention, oh, I worked remotely on this job. I worked from home. Or in your qualifications, if you did any study online, you can say, I studied this online. Okay. So yeah, you might be able to mention if you have any relevant online experience, just mention it in the relevant place in the relevant part of your CV or cover letter. Of course, you can emphasize any computer skills, especially. Okay. But apart from that, everything else will be pretty much the same as a face-to-face job. Okay, but yeah, interesting question, Magdalena. Thank you. I hadn't thought about that before. Yeah. So yeah, emphasize then any online experience you have within your qualifications and work experience. All right, thank you. Great question. It's not often I see a question I haven't seen before. All right, let's see. What other questions do we have? Let's look at some more comments. Okay. So Mena, great tip on the surname, sincerely. I've always struggled with it. Oh yeah, Mena, I feel your pain. I too have felt that agony until I forced myself to come up with a solution. So yeah, I hope that helps. Okay. Not related, Mena, but another typical S word that can confuse people is the whole stationary thing, right? Stationary with an A and stationary with an E. So I always remember it by thinking, okay, stationary with an A is an adjective. Okay, A for adjective, A for stationary, not moving, like the stationary car. Whereas stationary with an E, like paper, pens, envelopes, etc., just thinks E for stationery, E for envelope. Okay. I'm all about the mnemonics, the memory tricks. All right. Thank you, Mena. Nice to get a compliment. All right. So Lily, hello, welcome. Is there any way to find a TEFL work or to find TEFL work in a country that requires an additional degree without having one? Interesting, Lily. I would say that for this, it could be tricky. You would need to find employers that don't go by the books. Okay. Now, I am absolutely not condoning that, but I know it happens for sure. I think it's a lot easier, Lily, to go about it that way if you are actually in the country. Okay, so where you can go knock on doors, talk to people, etc. I think it would be hard, doing that from a distance. Being in the country, you might be more likely to do it. But honestly, Lily, I would try to go by the rules. Okay. If you work for a school that's willing to bypass that sort of thing, it doesn't give much confidence about how they will run their business and perhaps how they would treat their employees. Okay. But, that's, everybody makes their choices. Okay. I think being in the country and, knocking on doors, you would be more likely to find a job like that. Okay. But again, I wouldn't recommend it. Okay. Thank you, Lily. Good question, though. I'm sure lots of people are thinking the same. Okay, Mena, let's go. Let's have a look. I have 12 years plus experience in admin, management, and hospitality. Ooh, how to show that without including too much of it? Should I just put the titles without any job descriptions? Well, that's interesting, Mena. You could go a couple of different ways here. You could either pick out maybe the two most recent ones and, give the details of the job, give your transferable skills. And then under that, you could say something like, 2000 and I'm just making up dates, Mena. You could say something like 2005 till 2012. I worked in the hospitality sector in various whatevers, like various hotels or various restaurants, or you could say between the years of 2005 and 2012 I worked in customer service. So you're not detailing all of your jobs, but you're still letting them know that you do have this experience and you did learn loads of skills from it. Okay. That's probably what I would do. And in fact, that's what I do in my CV. Because I've been teaching for nearly 20 years now, I can't go through every job because, I'd be there for 5 pages worth of CV. So I'll just put my 2 or 3 most recent ones and then just group everything else into a short paragraph. Okay. So hopefully that made sense. If you need me to explain that again, I'll be happy to, because I just blurted out a lot of stuff there. Hopefully it made sense. Okay, thank you, Mena. All right. How long should the CV be? How many pages? Well, Mena, hopefully 1 page. Okay. Yes, C, Tanner, exactly. 1 page for the CV and 1 page for the cover letter. If you need to go a tiny bit over on your CV, like maybe 1.5 pages, it's not the end of the world. But really try, if you can stick to just the really relevant stuff. Okay, I'm confident everybody should be able to bring it into a page. Okay. Try not to do that longer because, as I said, schools will get loads and loads of applications typically, just, people sending their CVs on spec. So, if the recruitment officer sees, a 3-page CV, they'll be likely to not continue to read. Okay. All right. Thank you, Mena. All right. So I think that is all of the questions for the moment, but I'm sure you have some more. I'll give you a minute just to think of any other CV cover letter related questions you may have. Okay, let's see. Dominic? Oh, Dominic, I think I saw you in a webinar before and your name wasn't really Dominic. Am I correct? Or am I imagining that? Let me know in the comments. I have a feeling that your name was something different. So let's take a look at your question. What to do with the years spent at home raising kids in a non-English speaking country? Oh, Kathy. Yes, I remember. Hi, Kathy. So what to do with the years spent at home raising kids in a non-English speaking country? Oh, wow. In that time, more than 10 years, I taught her Let's in Conversational English. I'm a native speaker. Oh, wow. Excellent, Kathy. So yeah, that's a huge plus point. Remember we said in our CV that you can, after you've gone through your personal details, qualifications and work experience, you can include a section on any relevant language skills or travel skills, etc. Travel skills, foreign travel. That would absolutely be worth mentioning here. I also think that it's worth mentioning in the cover letter, in that first paragraph as to, why you're applying. Having lived abroad for many, many years, I'm excited to have the opportunity to do so again or to do so in a different country. Okay. In your work experience, you can absolutely add in that, you have tutored before, that perhaps you volunteered as a language tutor, on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis. I definitely think that's relevant. All right. I would mention that both in the cover letter and in your CV. All right. So hopefully that answers your questions, Kathy. If you want any further detail, just ask me in the comments. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Kathy. All right. Oh, we have one more question. So, hi, Marina. Nice to see you here today. So you mentioned that the degree in many cases are about visas. How important is it for online teaching if I have a 2-year diploma as well as a level 5 TEFL? Good question, Marina. I would say it's probably not as important for schools if you are working freelance, if they're not paying your taxes. That's a whole other thing to consider when it comes to online teaching. Would you be a direct employee, or would you be working freelance? I guess it would depend then on the school, whether they want you to have a degree or not, if it's not strictly necessary for a visa. If it doesn't mention it on the job ad, I think you could safely assume that it's okay not to have one. All right. The 2-year diploma and level 5, though, yeah, that will definitely stand to you for sure. Okay. So yeah, I guess my answer would be it depends on the individual school, but I can't imagine a degree would be as important to an online school if there was no visa required. I think you'll find that with online teaching, you are generally working freelance. So, all of the bureaucracy is up to you to deal with in your own, in the country you're working from. Okay. Thank you, Marina. Oh, yeah, we always have hope, Marina. That is my motto in life. There is always hope. You just keep looking, keep searching. Something will always come up. Okay, I promise. All right, great. Thank you, Marina. Okay. So Kathy, I worked as a nurse abroad as a nurse before that. Oh, wow, wonderful. So yeah, that is definitely relevant. You have all the interpersonal skills, all of the time management skills, all of the leadership skills. Nurses are just basically superheroes. So yeah, that's great, Kathy. That's well worth mentioning. Tons of transferable skills. All right, great. So everyone, we still have a couple of minutes left. So, any more questions? Keep them coming in. Oh, I'm sorry, C. Tanner, I skipped this one, but I see it now. How long does the job search usually take for graduates from the TEFL program? I know the standard where I live is roughly 2 weeks to hear back from recruiters. Yeah, this is very, very, very variable. Okay. Some schools, they will get right back to you. Others, not so much. I would say here, on the job advertisement, it might give a deadline. Okay. It might say, we want all of the applications by X date. In that case, if X date is maybe a month away, you won't hear anything in the meantime. So, don't expect to hear back if you haven't reached the deadline yet. However, if there is no mention of a deadline, they could get straight back to you, or it could take a couple of weeks. It's often not an indication of how interested they are. It's more of an indication of how busy they are and how many applications they have to get through and follow up on. Okay. So I would say, keep applying in the meantime. Even if you found a job that you think is perfect and you think that you'll be perfect for, don't pin your hopes on that. Just keep applying. And before you know it, you'll be hearing back on a regular basis for loads of different jobs. Okay. But yeah, it takes as long as it takes the individual school. Okay. If you don't hear back immediately, though, don't panic. Okay. It's perfectly normal for it to take longer. As I said, it's not an indication of how interested they are in your application. Okay. Yeah, there's tons of patience required when it comes to job applications. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I would say that when I apply for jobs and I haven't heard back within like 3 weeks or a month, I will always just email and say, oh, I applied on such a date. I was wondering if you filled the position or if you are still going through applications. It could be that you never hear from them again, in which case you have your answer. It could be that they reply and say, oh, yes, I'm sorry, we have recruited for the position. But, thanks for your interest, in which case you can like wipe it off your mental job list. Or it could be that you jog their memory and they're like, oh, yeah, we're actually, just finalizing the process and we'll be in touch. But, there's nothing to lose from sending out a reminder after 3 or 4 weeks if you've heard nothing. All right, great. Good question. Thank you. All right, excellent. Okay, so let me just run back through the comments just to make sure I haven't forgotten anything. Yeah, I think that's everything. But as I said, we do have a few minutes. So if anything occurs to you, put it in. Menna, let's have a look. When is the best time to apply or job hunt, at the end of the school year or during their summer vacation? Oh, a nice question, Menna. Well, in my experience, I have found that there are like three main times that there tend to be tons of jobs. Firstly, I would say if you are recruiting to a country, or if you're looking for a job in a country whose school year runs September to June, a really good time to apply is the end of the school year, so around June, July, okay, because loads of schools will be recruiting for the following September. Okay, so I find there tends to be tons of jobs advertised June, July, August time for start in September. Okay, another really, really popular time for recruiting is in December and January. This is because, teachers have maybe gone home for the Christmas holidays, and decided, actually, I'm staying at home. I don't want to go back. Yeah. Maybe they're not thrilled with their school. Maybe they're just homesick. Maybe, life happens. There are tons of different reasons why a teacher might not go back abroad after Christmas. So you find tons of jobs advertised around December, January time. All right. Then if you are looking for work for summer, if you want to work in a summer school, for example, all of those jobs will start being advertised in April, May time. Okay, maybe even sooner. Like summer schools in the UK, they tend to start recruiting in March even. Okay, so I would say summertime, December, January, or March, April-ish for summer jobs. They tend to be the three busiest times. Okay, but as I'm sure you've noticed, there will be jobs all year round. Okay, there is no real quiet period. I think for TEFL, there are just busier times. Every like all year round is busy. Just sometimes are busier. All right, excellent. Thank you, Mena. Good question. Okay. So, hi, Amy. Thank you for your question. For the CV, the photo included, should it be printed and attached or printed directly? Which way looks more professional? Oh, good question, Amy. Yeah, we haven't talked about the photo, have we? Really, other than it might be required. I would say for the photo, first of all, it's important that you have a photo in which you look friendly. Okay. Recruiters typically don't respond well to like passport pictures where you're being super serious and hiding your personality. So if you can find a picture where you're smiling, you're looking personable, you're looking neat, tidy, hopefully a plain background, not like a party shot or anything, like a party picture, but one where you're looking really, smiley, professional. Other than that, Amy, I would tend to have my picture printed onto the CV, because you will be sending so many CVs, via email. It's just easier to have it like on the CV. If you're already in the country, maybe, and you're visiting schools individually in person, I shouldn't think it makes a big difference if it's printed on or if it's, just attached. I don't think that'd make a difference. I think for yourself, though, it's just easier to get the photo printed on because, then you don't have to worry about, cutting them up, stapling them on, etc. So yeah, I'm definitely on the side of getting it printed onto the CV. I think that looks super professional and like you've made an effort. All right, thank you, Amy, for prompting me to talk more about photos. Excellent. Okay, great. So this is my entry into the field of education. It can be intimidating, but the program has been great so far. Oh, thank you. That's lovely. That's great. I'm really glad it's been helpful for you. I know it can be really intimidating to start off in any industry as a newbie. Yeah, I totally get that. But yeah, you're definitely going about things the right way by getting your qualification and showing lots of motivation and enthusiasm. All right, thank you, C. And okay, Mena, you are more than welcome. It's lovely to see you again. I love that you're being so proactive about this, showing up to all of our webinars and asking lots of questions. That's an awesome trait, and it will serve you well as a teacher. Okay. Amy, you are so welcome. I'm all about whatever makes life easier, and printing the photo directly onto your CV makes life easier. So let's go with that. Okay. So everyone, I think that is it. Our time is up. Time has flown by today. It's been lovely seeing you all again. Okay, and I am certainly looking forward to our next webinar. All right, so have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you for all of your amazing questions, and we'll see you soon. Just before you go, as always, I'm going to post a link for our QR code. Okay, it would be, or I'm going to post a link to our QR code for our end of webinar survey. Okay, as ever, I will put the link in the chat box, and it would be really great if you could take a moment out of your day, fill out our survey and give us feedback. Okay, you know, every educator needs feedback. All right, so goodbye everyone. I'll see you again soon. Thanks for coming.